Charles Oliveira versus Max Holloway is going down this weekend at UFC 326, and this fight honestly has the potential to be one of the best fights of all time. And no, I'm not exaggerating. These are two of the most entertaining and two of the best fighters the UFC has ever seen. It's going to be a scrap for the ages. This fight happened once a long time ago when both of these guys were a lot younger. Charles had some weird injury with his neck, and he was forced to stop the fight. He kind of just collapsed in the corner. It was weird as hell, and the fight just kind of ended, which of course means that there's unfinished business. And now, over a decade later, these two square off again for the BMF title. This is going to be awesome. Both of these guys obviously have their pros and their cons and where they excel, so let's get into which guy excels where the best. So first up for Charles, his pros are going to be that he is overall a better grappler. I don't think we really need to get into that. Obviously, Charles is the better grappler between the two. I would also say he has more power. I think there is a little more sting in his shots. Not saying he's better at striking. I just think he's got more power. And then also another thing on his side is that Max's chin has been tested. It was cracked by Ilia Topuria, and Dustin Poirier just doesn't have that same type of power that either of those two possess. So if Charles can land a flush shot, it might be enough to put Max down. Now on to Max's pros. Max is obviously the better striker between the two. He has more volume, likes to throw in volume, and that can bug Charles sometimes. He doesn't like when there's a lot going on in front of him. He tends to panic a little bit sometimes, and that's where you'll see him make the most mistakes. He also maybe has slightly better cardio. I honestly didn't know who to give the cardio edge here. I think both of these guys have a pretty good gas tank, so I don't think that's something we're going to worry about too much here. I think the big question for this fight is going to be how Max will be able to handle Charles's power. We saw when Charles fought Justin Gaethje, he was able to crack him, sit him down, and get his back very quickly. And if Max isn't careful here and that power affects him as it did to Justin, I could see a same type of scenario playing out. But for Charles, you have to ask the question, that is, can he hang with Max on the feet at all? Like, yeah, he's a good striker in himself. His Muay Thai's improved a lot, and he's very good in the clinch. But this is Max Holloway. This is one of the best volume strikers the UFC has ever seen, if not the best. This is one of the toughest dudes to figure out on the feet, and Charles has to get past that obstacle first to begin with. It'll be interesting to see how much Charles implements his grappling in this one as well, because against Ilia Topuria, we saw him be very aggressive with the grappling early out and try and take advantage of it. Maybe because he didn't feel like he was an equal on the feet. Could he feel like that in this fight with Max? Who's to say he doesn't, because Max is honestly right up there as well. So maybe Charles decides to lean on his grappling early, and it could help him. I also think there's less risk getting into grappling exchanges with Max than with Ilia, because Ilia has a bit more of a background on the ground and can probably hurt you a lot more. Max also has really good takedown defense as well, so getting a grappling exchange going and actually getting to the ground might be pretty difficult. Now, last time out, Max Holloway fought Dustin Poirier in Dustin Poirier's retirement fight in Louisiana, and in my opinion, that was probably one of the worst Dustin Poirier performances I've ever seen. I thought he looked terrible in that fight, and Max went all 5 rounds with him, even got knocked down in that fight. He kind of made it a little close, and that was really worrying for me. It was really telling, and it's honestly where I switched my thinking with this fight, because initially I was leaning Max. I think that Max is the better striker overall, and I think as a fighter as a whole might be slightly better, but what I saw from Max in that fight with Dustin Poirier was honestly really telling. It showed me that Max maybe isn't at the level that I think he's still at. And for Charles Oliveira, I thought that he was done. I thought this is it after Ilia. We are not going to see the best version of Charles again. And then he went out there against Matthias Gamrot, and he was able to sub him in front of his home crowd, in front of his fans. And I think Charles is a big momentum guy and rides the momentum. And that's exactly what he's going to do here. I think Max, in my head and stylistically, should probably win this fight. He should have the composure to go out there and keep it calm, keep it technical, and pick away at Charles. But that's just not what Max is. He's the BMF. That's not what Charles is. This is going to get scrappy. This is going to get ugly. And in an all-out dogfight with Charles' striking combined with his grappling, I have to favor him. I think if it goes to the judge's scorecard, it's going to be Max's fight. But if this fight ends by finish, and I think it's going to end by finish, I think Charles Oliveira wins. My official prediction is going to be Charles Oliveira to win this fight via submission. I could see this playing out very similar to how his fight with Justin Gaethje did. I think he cracks Max, sits him down, goes for his back, and gets a choke. I don't think it's going to happen in the first round like it did against Justin, but I could see it happening maybe third, fourth round later on in this fight, and I think Charles is going to be crowned as the new to BMF and one step closer to the title. But there you guys have it. That is how I see Charles Oliveira versus Max Holloway 2 playing out. Let me know if you guys agree with me in the comments. Also drop your picks for this fight down below. I want to hear what you guys have to say. I think it's pretty split right now, but let's hear some more opinions. Thank you all for watching this video. If you enjoyed it, consider liking and subscribing. We got a bunch of videos just like this on the channel, and also be on the lookout for some of the other UFC 326 videos that are going to be posted this week. Got a prediction video coming, got a couple parlay videos coming. There's going to be a bunch to talk about, and I hope you're here for it. So once again, thank you all for watching. I'll catch you all in the next one.